giving me paranoid flipping back and forth between the Twitch stream and the other stream as far as data written in bit. It looks like YouTube is a much higher bit rate than Twitch, but whatever.
Why don't I see our scheduled one? There we go. Alright, checking YouTube. Looks good. Alright, so we are live. Welcome to the Foolish Tech Show. We're here to provide support or answer any questions about our software. And otherwise, we're going to fill the time with random tech talk or wherever the IRC chat may take us. If you'd like to join in on those conversations or ask us questions and such directly, you can jump on over to foolishtechshow.com, foolishit.com/live, and you can join our IRC chat in a plethora of ways. If you'd like to use the embedded one above the video, you can expand that bar, or you can open it in a new window and talk and stream on 2 monitors if you got that. Otherwise, you can set up your own IRC client and talk with us directly in there. So fun stuff. And looks like we got Phoenix PC already in there, and he's got a couple things for us. We actually talked about that Canadian police having a BlackBerry encryption key. They've had it since 2010, actually, so not exactly breaking news. But they just released the information that they have it, and I doubt it's just people in Canada that need to be worried. I'm sure the Mounties are fairly friendly about providing that to other law enforcement around the world. So he also points out that Steve Gibson just updated his Never10 app, so it now supports deleting 6 gigabytes worth of Windows 10 files, and also supports command line switches, so it can be run with auto login.
Put your background on if you don't mind.
Put your camera on.
Yeah. Oh god, my hair's awful today.
Is this a good background? You like that background, Michael?
Turn that off. Turn that fucking off.
Why do we turn this off? That was just the one that I had up there. Alright, let me find my real background. Where is that real background? Somewhere in here. Let me find it. Oh, is this it? No, that's not it. Oh, this one might be it. Alright, I think I found it. Michael, where'd your video go?
I don't know, it just doesn't work.
Fix your video, Michael.
No. PP. Oh.
That was just some weird random house that I visited. So yeah, we talked about the Never10 app, and I think it was mentioned earlier, but we never really spoke heavily about it. But the FBI didn't find anything on the San Bernardino shooter's iPhone, which was pretty much given. Like, I think Proctor had said, even if they do find something at this point, is it really even worth it? Like, most people would have had burner phones, and if they were in contact with that person, would have stopped contacting that person after they got shot and killed after all that stuff. Hey, looks like we got RTM Tech and Glenn in our chat now as well. Welcome, y'all. How's it
Hey.
going?
Did you guys or so it looks like that that bill, that anti-encryption bill, it also would prevent anything from being compressed as well, according to the wording of the law, apparently.
Well, compressed with encryption, or
No, no, just compressed in general. It doesn't say anything about encryption specifically.
well, from what I was reading, it's not actually anything specific at all about anything.
Exactly, so it covers
It
everything.
actually it doesn't
But
outlaw.
Michael, it wouldn't cover compression because you can decompress.
Apparently, I gotta read this a little
Yeah,
bit further.
basically the law is the center.
Only if it was encrypted in compression.
The gist of the law is basically they don't want to
So,
have another situation where a company says, no, we're not complying. We can't comply. And essentially what they say is um, they don't outlaw encryption. They don't force you to have back.
Specifically, lossy compression takes away information, so that's how it applies. So lossy collection, like any type of JPEG image compression or anything like that, that would
image compression.
throw out information, would alter the original data stream, and therefore it would be considered by this law. Yeah.
You're just considering it. Okay, all right.
No, 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 not me. The law itself. The law
Oh,
itself
but
would.
you are interpreting it that way.
No, no. I mean, others are interpreting
Well,
it that way as
yeah,
well.
well, you are also interpreting it that way, right? A judge interprets the law
Yeah,
as well.
a
Everyone
judge
interprets the law. It's
interprets the
always open to
law, but that
interpretation.
you
I'm
need
just saying
to.
that
The
you are
wording
interpreting
doesn't
the law
discuss.
that way.
So if the wording says it's okay, that it will affect a compression
Hey,
because it
Michael,
does
take a day off.
affect
My
compression.
wording didn't say it was okay to go jump off a cliff, but
Well, that's not how our
do
law.
it.
That's not how our laws work. No, no, no. That's not how our laws work. If it says this is disallowed, it doesn't mean you
The
get to
laws
make up an
work how the judge
exception.
defines they do generally. That's kind of why it's
No, you don't. You don't get to just say. You don't get to just say, "Oh, well, here's an example that we'd like to make an exception for," and then allow that after the law's on the books. That's the
we
whole point of
generally
the
do.
law.
That's how they know. That's the checks and balances of the judiciary system. They can do
No,
that.
but that's not how they can only interpret the law
Well,
as it is written. They cannot
Michael,
add on to a
what I
law
was
or limit it in
Well,
some way.
are you just
so
reading an article of someone else?
what do you think? What do you think? What do you think the Supreme Court does? For example, all right, you've heard of those cases, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so at least
That's the Constitution, though. They do constitutional issues. This wouldn't be a constitutional issue. Well, I mean, actually, I might take it to that extent, but it hasn't been taken to that extent yet.
But I think the bigger point here is, oh, bye, Nick. Um, I think the bigger point is, are you reading an article that's interpreting the law, or are you actually reading the bill that they released and interpreting that yourself?
No, it's the bill's wording. You've seen it.
I have the bill. I've
Yeah.
read it.
Yeah, and
I'm
and
saying it
so
doesn't
and so
sound that
why would it not impact compression that is lossy?
I don't see anything that it says anything about that.
It doesn't say anything about lossy compression, but it says that
I'm,
if you alter the data in some way as to make it unturned backable into the original form, and that covers a whole lot of things other than encryption.
that's a wide thing. But anyway, Phoenix, like I said, they're not going to stop you from using encryption. It's just that if you offer something encrypted, you have to be able to decrypt it and hand it over for a court order. That's the basis of what this law is going for. That's all it wants to do, is basically say that it's no longer the police's job to, or the FBI or anybody's job to crack into something if it's unbreakable. Whoever provides it has to provide a means to break into it. is essentially what they're saying, without saying specifically you have to add backdoors or specifically you have to do this. They're just saying they don't care. They just say if a court order is presented, you have to do everything in your power to comply with that court order and offer a decrypted version. That's basically what they're saying.
So all those people who have JPEGs have to magically now convert them to the original format? I mean,
they're not going to be asking for decompressed JPEGs. They're not going to be asking for raw picture files. That's not what they're going to be asking for. They're going to be asking for your WhatsApp logs or your TrueCrypt stuff. That's what they're going to be asking for. So if we provide a product that integrates TrueCrypt or VeraCrypt, then we have to comply with any court order that says somebody was using our product, it has this encryption on it, we have to decrypt it for them. That's what the law is saying. They're not going to be saying, oh, I need wave quality music of these guys' MP3s. That's not what they're going for. That's just a dumb interpretation of the law. They're specifically talking about stuff that they can court order to retrieve that they can't get to. If they can get to a picture because it's a JPEG, they don't care. They don't care if it's the raw image or the JPEG. They don't care. They still got the picture of whatever bad deed was happening. If that picture is encrypted, that's what they care about. And whoever offered the encryption of that picture is now responsible for decrypting it upon court order, is what that law is going for. You can still encrypt. You can still do that. It's just if you offer that as a service, be prepared for court orders coming to you saying, decrypt this for us.
I mean, that doesn't make it any better to me, but
it doesn't make it any better. It's still a stupid and terrible law, but that's what they're going for, is they don't want to have another situation where a big company is able to stand up and say, not our problem. The only person that can unlock that is the user. That's how it was designed. They don't like that idea. They don't want to have that idea.
Yeah, I mean, but you know that's that's impossible for them to implement, because that means having them remove that feature set, just like what you said. It's like a catch-22. It's they can't offer encryption and not
Yeah, that's the people that are going to be supporting this law, is the ones that don't want to, that are too lazy to go in and protect your users' data and things like that. Those are the ones that are going to support the law, and unfortunately, there's a lot.
That's just going to decrease the security for everyone, though.
Exactly.
Don't you agree?
That's true, but they don't care about that.
Well, I need as many ways to get this law thrown out as possible, and if potentially confusing.
Talking about JPEGs and MP3s is not going to help any.
All right. Well,
you're going to be shot down just as quickly as you were here.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
That's awesome, RTM Tech, that Australians could soon be getting their mail by drone. That's a pretty cool link. So, Glenn, watch out for those drone mail carriers. I wonder what happens if they drop a package. Are you allowed to keep that package if it falls on your land? Hey, Tank, if you want a quick flashlight for your camping stuff, there's a cool Instructables. You can make a MacGyver style flashlight.
Ooh, those are always fun.
Yeah. It's like just a battery, clothespin, LED, and some blue tack. I guess that's
well, wait. Well, they're also saying apparently the law covers deleted data too, so it's not just that you can't encrypt your data. If it did exist at some point on the computer and you deleted it, that would be the same sort of thing. That means they should be able to compel
Michael,
people to undelete
they're
as
not going to be
well.
able to compel people to do that. They're going to be able to do that to companies that offer that service. If you're a
So
company
then you
that
can't, as a
offers
company,
security,
offer deletion of data as a service?
well, you can. You just have to be able to undelete it.
Oh my God, that's impossible.
That's what it's going for.
That's impossible.
It's not impossible, but what's impossible is them stopping others from doing that and releasing it. Like, that's why TrueCrypt picked up so much, is because they weren't tethered by US law. Probably a lot of those TrueCrypt developers were in the US, but if you're in the US and you make encryption stuff, you can't export it. It's against the law to export encryption products.
Well, a
So
certain level
they
of
did it
encryption, but
they
yeah.
did it anonymously, and now they can release that anywhere around the world. That's what the bill's not going to be able to stop. So your open source things, various stuff like that, that's what that's going to prevent happening.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's gonna make it's gonna make U.S. companies flock to non-U.S. companies for encryption. And then the whole point of the law would be moot to begin with. Yeah, that's right. Nobody has to play by this law that's not
Well, then
inside the
just make it
U.S.
encryption products.
Huh?
I said then they'll just make it illegal to import encryption products. Phoenix, isn't that what the Digital Millennium Copyright Act already does? The DMCA. Basically, if you get caught pirating 3 times, you get disconnected from the internet. They just want to do that more, or like put a permanent ban on that person getting on the internet, or I don't know. There is a actual really good security warning out there right now. Basically, QuickTime for Windows has a couple of very big vulnerabilities in it.
And Apple just ditched it.
And Apple said, yep, it's no longer supported and they won't be releasing any updates for it. So if you have QuickTime installed on your Windows computer, you better go ahead and uninstall it right now, because it's basically just a open doorway into your computer. So yeah, that's a very big one out there. Oh, this will be a good one, especially for Michael falling asleep on the job. Yeah, so and it's going to happen no matter where they go. That's why the TrueCrypt developers were doing it the best way, staying anonymous, actually. It's great to have your name behind a project, but if you want that project to really do what it's supposed to do, you can't be tethered by your identity. And your identity is going to increasingly hinder and tether your projects in the digital age going forward, especially as more companies and countries, or as more countries and governments start breaking down on it, cracking down on how it is. So check this out. This is a FedEx employee fell asleep while loading a plane in Tennessee and woke up in Texas. Number one job you don't want to fall asleep on the job on. another thing, so the Black Hole Exploit Kit author and his entire team is getting jail time in Russia. And the one thing I want to point out about this is they got busted in Russia because they were attacking Russian banks. So we had talked early on the store about, we talked earlier on the show about Russia has this kind of overlook on if you're not attacking Russians, they don't really care about hackers and such. But it looks like if you are attacking Russians and Russian banks in particular, they get kind of upset about that. So that person's going to be spending 7 years in jail in a Russian prison. So I doubt that's going to be any fun.
I would think not.
No. Yeah, well, that's what I was saying, Phoenix. They don't mind Russian hackers hacking other countries. They mind Russian hackers hacking Russia. Yeah, because then we'd be hacking Russia, and they get pissed if someone hacks Russia. So, Michael, here's an interesting article for you. 5 ways VPNs are not as secure as you think, or not as private as you think. It had some interesting points. I do want to point out number 3 doesn't apply to private internet access because their no logging has been challenged by a FBI subpoena, and they didn't have any logs to turn over. So. What is that link, Michael? Are you not able to talk anymore?
Sorry. I thought I didn't realize I was on mute. It's a there was an issue I had with my ThinkPad 450 where it was having an issue sometimes waking the display coming back from suspend, and this BIOS update resolves that issue. And yeah, and I tested it and it seems to work. So I'm pretty happy about that. So if anybody else out there was experiencing that problem, it was related to Windows 10, of course, but and the PTT, the integrated PTT, the platform trust technology in the processor, and Windows 10. Yeah, if you were experiencing that issue, I recommend the update. It applied just fine to my machine. So check it out. The specific download page, I think where you have to say get it from is here. If this is more helpful.
So in other words, keep your BIOS up to date.
UFI, yeah. That's always good advice.
Just in general.
Just in general, it's good advice.
You'll have less issues.
I think so, yes. But again, particularly for new machines and whatnot, and of course the 6000 series. This was Intel's or Lenovo's first 6000 series ThinkPad T450 or T400 series. So, it's likely to any new technology like that is likely to receive its fair share of shakedown updates in the first year or so. Yeah, so sometimes it is sometimes better to buy older generation stuff in that regard, but usually they're minor and they get shaken down pretty quick. So
RTM Tech did send me a few links here. The first one is awesome. You can win a robot. And the next one, let me see what this is here first. Who doesn't want to win a robot, though? Everyone should win a robot. Create the future. Not sure what that is, but check that out. And I think we had talked about this $100 million fraud thing. Let's see if it's the same one. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the same one or not, but there was a thing about a CFO got an email and they sent it to the CEO and they both signed off on it, and it was basically just a phishing scam, and they ended up getting jacked for a bunch of money because they fell into a phishing scam. Oh, they did get 75 million back. Yeah, I can't believe your thing already broke, Michael. That's pretty crappy. Yep, and we had talked about the Microsoft suing the U.S. government over user data, I think yesterday. And this is always a good point to bring up, that a cyber attack take out
What
a
happened?
lot of just the electric grid. It could take out a lot of things.
You broke
work and stuff. What?
Brentley, you broke down a lot of that. You might want to.
I didn't break down.
All right, just could stop hearing you. You went
Broke up maybe
for a little while. Phoenix shared a link on adding an animated GIF to easy to boot YouTube video by Steve.
Yep. So the one I was pointing out just then was the cyber attacks could knock out a huge swath of U.S. electrical grid. But I'd like to point out that that's not the only public works that's vulnerable. I mean, they've already shown that nuclear plants are vulnerable. They've already shown that water places are vulnerable. Pretty much our entire backbone systems are wide open and vulnerable.
And all of our government networks are, by the way, they're the worst at cybersecurity. Yeah, so they were compared against all like the corporations and corporate entities in America, no matter how big or small. The government got beat by every last one of them. Yeah. Very, very sad. And they're the ones that want us to share more potentially health information with. Very sensitive information. Sad. Sad, sad, sad state of affairs.
Yep. So let's see what another link that he's sent.
I think we're depressing everyone.
Oh, nice. So RTM Tech had sent the infographic that Malwarebytes showed. He turned it into a scorecard and scores companies on that. So he actually used it today to inform a company they scored 40% on vulnerability and 70% on proactive protection for a combined average of 55%. Company owner was upset, but he couldn't argue with the numbers, so that opens up a lot of opportunity for you. That's pretty awesome. So basically, you just took that infographic and divided it up, and then if they got X amount out of that many, they got it, the percent that way, I'm assuming.
Who are you asking?
I was asking RTM Tech since he's the one that did it. Let's see if I can find that infographic again.
Yeah, did you have a link for that or something?
Yeah, so here's actually the PDF form of that. So you can do like RTM Tech said and basically split those up and offer them a percentage of what they've hit versus what they're vulnerable on, or what they're vulnerable on. So there's 5 options for that, it looks like. And the 4 options for proactive prevention, but it looks like you could probably break that 4th one down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So probably 5, 6, 7. So probably 8 for the second one. But that's an awesome way to do that. Definitely a good way to point things out and then be able to offer solutions to that customer afterwards. So
Yeah, sure.
awesome.
Anything that breaches that communication barrier, particularly if they otherwise respect Malwarebytes, I guess, opinion on things. Um, but you could easily write your own arbitrary one. It doesn't have to follow that. If you have best practices and procedures for that, I think we all generally know what those are. You could easily divide them into any number of questions to cover those topics and provide even maybe a more fine-grained, not just always a 20, 40, 50, you know, 60% type thing, but maybe something even more specific with more questions. Um, it'd be a quick survey, an interview, a 5-minute survey or whatever, and then you could, give them that number. I think it's generally a good idea. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Is the stream okay? I keep freaking out that it's not, but I think everything's fine.
Yeah, it looks fine on this side.
This is my first time twitching and
Your
tubing,
first time twitching.
twitching and tubing at the same time. Yeah.
So G Johns has a question about D-Support Suite. Likes it very much. 2 questions. How does he upload new rules for event logging? So essentially, you would go in and for that profile, you'd edit the rules, and then you would just apply the rules updates. And the other thing is computers appear to be running maintenance at a time other than what I told the template to use. I think with that one, the maintenance can start if it missed it while it was shut down. It'll start once the system is brought back up. So I think that D-Support Suite is set up for that fact. So if you
That could make it run, yeah, more closely together. So if it missed one and then it's close to the when it would happen again, you could see it potentially running twice, within a week, let's say, as opposed to once.
Well, no, he's saying it's running at times other than what he scheduled. And basically, the thing I would think for that is basically if they shut their system down, next time they booted it back up, it would start running at that time instead of what you scheduled it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah. That
So
would
it
be
wouldn't just matter if it was if they were running together or not. But
no. But I was just, if he was going for why it was happening and, more than twice, a little bit more specific of how frequently it's running, if the answer is 10, 15 times, then there's something else going on, obviously.
I don't know if you can tell it not to run if it was missed. I'm trying to pull up a system right now, so I could also show you the whatchamacallit, where the event logging rules and such would be
Yeah,
uploaded.
the rules. There's a with selected menu in DSS. You can choose to select certain client IDs or multiple ones or individuals or single one, whatever you prefer, and then upload the rules for them individually or the config and rules, whatever you want to do. Sure, Brett, I'll show that off in just a moment.
Just one moment here. Yeah, so there wouldn't be a way to tell it not to run after the next update. Or after the next reboot. I'm not even sure if you could go in by hand and change the scheduled task, but that would probably be where I'd check. I'm checking to see if we can change that. Yeah, and that can be another thing too, is if it's running apps that are running long, that could cause it. Yeah, so, I don't know if you can edit that or not. Let's see. Yeah. So you can't do it automatically, G-Johns, but Michael, I'm going to try sharing my screen and we'll see what this looks like here.
All right. I'm standing by here. It looks okay. Yeah, everyone should be able to see the screen.
Okay.
I mean, according to at least what I'm looking at, I haven't looked at the live feed, but I don't want to do
Yeah,
that
I'm
to
waiting on
interfere
the
with it.
live feed update here too. All right, yeah, that looks fine. So, oh, yep, there we go. So, G-Johns, if you want to make it so it doesn't run after that, you wouldn't be able to do it through dsupport suite, but you can go into your scheduled task here, go into its properties, and under settings, you have run task as soon as possible. If it's missed, you would just want to uncheck that. And I believe that would be it. If you want tasks to stop at a certain time, you could also change this value down. So if you only wanted to make sure it ran for 2 hours, you could do that there as well. So again, you would have to do that on each system after the task has been created. So keep that in mind if you want to go that route. I will go ahead and add that to the whatchamacallit though. So I added that to the updates for dsupport suite, since we will be doing an update to that in the near future here.
And
Hmm?
oh, nothing. I was going to say if you were done with the screen, you could unshare.
One more moment here. So if you, for the rules thing, just to show you here,
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
if you go into your template and you change your event log rules, you can change them however you'd like and adjust them how you need to. Then when you save and close this one, you select the client IDs you want to apply it to and overwrite rules only. Or this one, sorry. If you have multiples, you'll overwrite with rules only. Single, you'd overwrite with rules only.
You can also do that from the with selected menu.
No, that's what you have to do after you've overwritten.
Oh,
So
I see.
first you make your changes in your template, then you overwrite rules only if it's a single client or multiples.
Oh, to affect it back
Then,
over to the IDs. Yes.
yeah,
We're talking about a template.
then
Yes.
you'll upload rules only to upload it to those IDs.
Yeah. But I always like to forget. I always like to point that out because I still have a lot of people who oftentimes come to me and have made the changes and then just forget that last step to upload them. So.
You're not being a pest. We'll go over it just again just to make sure. So you have a template that you have applied. You can go in and edit that template. And on that template, you'll have your event log rules here. You can make your changes to your rules or add exemptions. Then once you save and close that, you have your template still highlighted. You'll select which client IDs you want to apply it to. And then if you have multiple ones selected, you'll say this one and overwrite with rules only. If you have only a single client ID, you'll do overwrite with rules only. And actually, it looks like if you do multiple client IDs, it'll overwrite with rules only and go ahead and upload it. But if you want to be just double checking and making sure, as long as you have those client IDs selected, you can always say upload rules only, and that'll push out those rules to them. And those will get checked on the next update as long as you have under the schedule section to have it update at these times. That one, actually. So you could have it update either at every launch or updated at every scheduled heartbeat, and you would want to make sure that you have the heartbeat enabled as well. So that is how you do those. And definitely don't feel like it's a pest. That's exactly why we're offering this time here. So feel free to interrupt any of our random rambling if you have any questions with that. So. Yeah, so there's a lot of errors that you have to weed out sometimes, and that's what that exclude section will be really great for. So. And that sounds like a good idea for your max focus, max remote management script, if you want to do that. Yeah, and that's why Nick added that exclusion, is because of companies like that that have an error that continuously pops up and they don't fix. Then you don't want to be alerted about those errors all the time. I think also he had mentioned too that the remote desktop printer driver missing. So if people connect to a remote desktop session and their printer driver that they have hooked up on their system isn't on that system, even if they don't use the printer, it would give it an error. So that's why he added those things there. Phoenix, I was really excited about that feature to pin an app to all virtual desktops in Windows 10, but it's only on the latest build, and I'm not doing preview builds on my production system. So
Yeah, we'll get that in July, it looks like, I think, is when that's going to come out for everyone.
yeah, and that's really sad too, because that is an awesome feature, and I actually use the virtual desktops quite a bit. So I really like those things actually. For version 7, that is a something that's going to happen with the crypto prevent service. It's going to be restarting because sometimes it tries to get shut down and it just automatically restarts itself. But Windows does log an event for that. I believe I have that fixed already in version 8, so that shouldn't be a problem too much longer. Yeah, but why would I run Windows 10 preview build in a VM if I'm not going to use it for the virtual desktops? Like, that's literally the only feature that I'm looking forward to in the upcoming Windows 10 build. So I wouldn't use virtual desktops if I was just running it in a VM though. Michael, have you tried the virtual desktops at all?
No, no, I haven't been a big virtual desktop user.
It really helps, especially if you don't have 5 monitors like I do.
Okay,
Because
did
then
I
your 2
just
monitors become 4
I
monitors.
didn't play a video, did I, by accident? I hope not.
What? I hope not.
No, I accidentally I don't know what I was thinking. I was clicked on a video.
Oh, Sparker Cam is finally taking up 50% of my processor. Why is that?
It depends on what settings you have. I know it's crazy sometimes.
Alright, that's better.
Do you guys like and suggest VMware? I looked at the various products they offer. Tons of expensive high-end solutions. Um, Nothing for or against VMware in any way. If the pricing and features meet your needs, sure, go with it. We don't do complicated VM stuff here. We just usually use things like VirtualBox.
I've
The
always been a
Hyper-V
fan of
stuff.
VirtualBox.
Hyper-V stuff is pretty cool though.
VMware, it's taken them a long time to get out of the enterprise market. So they used to not even allow you to create your own virtual machines. Pretty useless for me if I wanted to create virtual machines and not have to buy the big enterprise stuff. Now they do allow you to create your own virtual machines, but basically they lost me a long time ago. I got into VirtualBox and really liked that a lot. So
Yeah, Oracle is shit for enterprise and business when it comes to VM stuff. An agreement. If we're talking
yeah,
about
I
enterprise
actually
level,
like Hypervisor more.
well, yeah, Hyper-V and other solutions are the best bet if you're in that category. But if you just need to really do a virtual machine, VMware is a solution, as is VirtualBox.
Yeah, definitely don't research malware without a VM. And when you are testing malware with a VM, try to make sure you don't have your network connected, or at least don't have any drives mounted or shared. Because that can become very dangerous for you as well.
So, Brantley, did you address G. John's question about a new Crypto Prevent beta? Was there one released since the original?
Not yet. I've
Okay.
been working on other little small projects with version 7, so
All right,
I
well,
hope,
we'll have one out hopefully soon on
yeah,
that.
because I have some updates already applied for it, and it works fairly nice from what I can tell so far. But I haven't had any issues running Windows 7 or 10 on VirtualBox Phoenix. I'm
Yeah,
not sure where you
version
had issues running it
5's
on.
way faster than 4. If you're still talking about using version 4, yeah, there was some performance issues, I believe, and they've largely completely resolved that, from what I understand. Don't seem to have any issues. There is maybe a limitation in resource distribution on virtual machines and um, hyper-threaded cores and things, but
Gjohn's the best way is actually I have it set so that the beta will update automatically. So if you just open up your Crypto Prevent beta every day, you'll see it automatically update when a new one has come out. That'll be your best option. I think right now it's going to tell you it's 7.8.2. That's the latest version. So when I release 7.8.3 or any ones higher than that, it'll automatically update to that. I just don't like how VMware is set up. It's actually much more complicated to get set up and running with VMware. It probably can do a lot more because it is geared more towards enterprise. It's not anything that I need really. I can do everything that I need to do with VirtualBox, and it works great for me so far. So. Phoenix, as far as the SSH program, Putty is all I use.
yeah, I was wondering if anybody had an opinion on yeah, if there was a better one or anybody have any I mean, Putty's ancient and it's been around forever.
There was one that was recommended way earlier in the show. Let me see if I can figure out what that one was. Because I had downloaded it. It was X something. I still haven't checked it out though. I forgot. And doesn't look like I have it in my recent downloads, so it's been a while. There was another one that was recommended, but I mean, the only thing I have an issue with Putty is that you can't resize the connection window, so I have to scroll down to connect to them, but it's really not that big a deal. Oh, so yeah, Xshell was the one that you had pointed out, and now you prefer secure CRT.
Let me check that.
I mean, like I said, Putty's working fine, so I'm not that big on changing it. If I really need to, I'll just go to a Linux box. I'll use a virtual box to go into Linux and then SSH from there. And G. Johns points out some of the alternatives to putty.
Thank you for those suggestions, folks.
Phoenix sometimes uses super putty to have tabs. So check this out. Oh, later, G. John. There was a tunnel built under the Thames River in London, and it's got a pretty interesting history. You can read that article if you want to learn more about it, but they've just opened it back up to the public for the first time in 147 years. So it's a pretty old tunnel, to say the least.
That is pretty old.
A pretty cool story, though, that they have there. Apparently, 3 architects basically built all of London.
Huh.
Brantley, you broke up again.
Oh, yep, the Twitch just went down and the YouTube just went down. What'd you do, Michael? Michael?
I don't know. I don't know.
Michael.
I don't know. It says it dropped a bunch of frames. I'm not sure why.
Your internet's flaky.
What? You can't hear me? You can't hear me?
Now we can hear you now. But it looks like your internet's flaky.
It dropped out.
So you were telling me I was breaking up this whole time. You were actually the one breaking up.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. I don't
That's
know
what it
what. I
seems
don't know
like.
what
Well-
caused that. I don't know what caused that.
Because I haven't heard Brantley break up.
Yeah, it has been Michael. So we'll go ahead and wrap the show up a little bit early today. We always wrap it up a little bit late all the other days, so we'll leave it on this last one. It's a pretty interesting music video about auto-correcting humanity, and kind of makes you double think about spending too much time on the computer. So check that music video out, and otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap things up for today. Thanks, G. Johns, for asking questions about dSupport Suite. Thanks, Mike Invise, Phoenix, RTM Tech, Glenn, for all being here and participating in the chat. Always much appreciated. And otherwise, we'll be back on Monday at 8 a.m. to answer any more questions about our software or services. And hope everyone has a great weekend. So, Michael, you can take us out just by clicking the same 2 that you did before.
In the reverse order?
Sure.
Okay, and I figured out why. It was because I was installing an application,
Michael, you're breaking up.
I think. That's why.
Why would you install an application during a live show?
I don't know.
Jeez, this is why we.
All right,
This
so
is why we have to make you not touch your computer
I'm
when you
turning
stream.
off Twitch. Oops. Okay.
Thank you, Michael. End it on a laugh.
I gotta restart my computer now. Fudge.